Yo, 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 yo. Oh shit. Uh, yo, what's up today? Before you start one, like, I will start to stream often. Actually, like, fucking more often. Yeah, I don't care about it. But anyways, fuck. I think my voice start get a little bit down now. Do I change my voice? Basically, I need to change. But yeah, see what it is. So yeah, sure. I don't know. Just basically, I don't know what. Oh, oh, watch some Azur Lane. But I gonna stream.
Recently, Azur Lane had its 4th anniversary, and that
Oh,
means a lot of things. For
one.
one, they gave out some pretty nice stuff
Oh,
that may or may not be gone by the time you see it. Recently, Azur Lane had its
wait. Do I
4th
play
anniversary, and that means a lot
during
of
this
things.
month?
For one, they gave out some pretty nice stuff
Wait, do I play it? 1 August.
that may or may not be gone by the time you see this. Another is that they have this very nice memories page for you older degenerates to reflect on your past mistakes. But most importantly, it means this game has been out for 4 years. Well, no shit, you might say, but this means 4 years worth of features, mechanics, ships, and just a whole host of additions into the game, really. So, moving
Wait,
away
wait.
from all this
On my
anniversary
PC.
talk, we get into the more important questions to be answered here. Mainly, what is this game? And how is it for a new
Azur Lane.
player? And on a lesser note, is this game worth playing? For that last one, it's always usually a resounding, might as well give it a try, it's free. Of course, unless you have a terrible issue with controlling your spending, in which you should very well stay the fuck away from this game for your own sake.
What? Why is that?
Azur Lane is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up video game by Shanghai Manju and Xiamen Yongxi. Set in an alternate timeline of World War II, players engage in side-scrolling shooter
I don't
gameplay,
think.
using female, moe,
I
anthropomorphic
don't think this
characters
game
based on
really
warships from the
valuable
war's
for what
major
you anymore.
participants. Yes, this is ripped straight from the
Can't
Wikipedia
wait for
page.
Blackbeard to
Simply
come.
put, this is a game where you build ship girls, make them fight, and leave your soul grinding for the rest of eternity. But it's all for the ship girls in the end, so it's not that bad, right?
Yeah.
On the surface, it's a game with a very simple gameplay loop and a very clear draw. So,
Yeah, I like
are
the
you
way that.
interested? Anything maybe catching your eye? Anything at all that you might fancy yet? Well, it doesn't matter, I'm moving on. So before I get into all this new player stuff, I should probably give you some sort of background because you might have noticed I'm not actually a new player. It was this screen, by the way, you should have been able
There's
to
no
tell from
way.
this. You see here it says
Oh my
2018,
god.
September 12th, and the more astute of you might have noticed that is in no way recent. Well, basically I've barely played the game for the past 2, maybe 3 years properly,
Oh.
only really logging in very occasionally because I have problems. And here I am again back on the game and absolutely terrified of the mess of systems I have no knowledge
You
of.
can.
and so I decided on the very normal action of playing the game from a fresh account to see how everything pans out from the eyes of a new player. So with that being said, here we go. Straight into a tutorial, we get a small story section followed by our first bit of gameplay very early on. Joystick on the left will move your ships and buttons on the right will let you fire your torpedoes or a salvo of shots from your backline. Later on, we get airstrikes too, but that isn't present for the rest of the tutorial for whatever reason. During the tutorial, there is one major thing that really stands out.
Oh, the waifu, oh, bitch.
I really don't know why, but some gacha games just have really good music, and this is one of them. So, finishing off the tutorial, we get some story bits. To be clear, I won't actually be touching on the story here at all. It's probably interesting enough to give it a read. Either that, or maybe there might be a couple hour long video on YouTube that summarizes the plot of Azur Lane.
I don't want to watch it.
Maybe that'd be interesting to watch. Alright, past the black ominous screen, we get to the first major part of the game. A truly difficult decision that will shape and mold the rest of your life.
Oh, I record.
We now pick our starter ship girl between Z23, Laffy, and Javelin. By the way, I do want to acknowledge that Z23 does sound better in this case, but I am not a heathen. In all seriousness, this choice really doesn't matter too much, seeing as eventually you'll get them all, so you can really just pick whoever you want. They're all pretty good. For a brief rundown of your choices, Z23 has a focus on firepower. Her skill gives her a chance to buff her firepower on firing her gun. And on retrofit, she gains an ability to send out a barrage with torpedoes, generate shields, and boost the crit rate of her gunfire to 100%.
Whoa.
Retrofitting you can just think of as an enhancement to stats and some skills that some ships can go through. Laffy is supposedly an all-rounder. She has a skill that gives a chance to boost firepower, reload, and evasion when firing her gun. On retrofit, this skill is enhanced to give some healing and some more firepower and torpedo damage boost. She also gains a skill to fire a barrage and increase her reload, which lets her fire much faster. Javelin has a focus on evasion, with a chance at increasing her evasion on firing her gun. On retrofit, she gains the ability to fire out a barrage and increase her torpedo damage. Now, which one will I be going for? After a long, painstaking process, considering all of the factors between the choices, really diving into the intricacies of their stats and skills for the optimal choice, I decided that I think purple hair is pretty cool, so I went with Javelin. I also chose her all those years ago for whatever reason, so there's a bit of bias there as well. With that done, we enter our name and we get on with the game, which for now is going to be a click on the indicator game for a bit. Clearly the game doesn't trust us to be able to tell which buttons to press, and honestly that's quite understandable, seeing that all the people with more than half a brain cell will have been filtered out by the gacha tag at this point.
Oh shit.
And speaking of gacha, we have our first. A destroyer that buffs other destroyers. She also has a smoke screen from retrofit, which is pretty handy for increasing survivability of your ships. Now, talking about every ship I get will probably get annoying really quickly, so from here on out I'll probably only be talking about the ones that I'll be using, or the ones that are relevant to whatever points that I might be making. So now we go on a pretty long guided tour of the initial systems. We go into battle, we get ambushed, we beat the shit out of them, and then we get told to retreat for some reason, forced into claiming some mission wards. Then we go into the depot to open the box, we go out of the depot and we go back into the depot again, but this time to craft some new equipment. We equip the new gear and then we go on to enhancement, and after this we build a new ship, which is not something I'm going to be using. Chicago is a decent offensive heavy cruiser though, not the worst ship to be using early on. So drop her into the fleet for now and we're back into the stage again, ready to absolutely steamroll whatever is in our way.
Oh shit.
After some praise that gets blocked by the stage clear pop-up, and our trusty tutorial girl abandoning us, we're finally free to roam however we like. For now, back on the main page, and we get thrown some login stuff. We also get some nice mail to greet us. With no guiding light to show me the way, I spent some time clicking around. In the missions tab, we get a copy of Repulse. Okay, so Repulse is not great. Her stats are not good. Her skill gives her reload, but only when she's attacked.
Yeah.
Given all this, she's a pretty good candidate to or be replaced whenever possible. However, I
But it's
will be
good for
using
them.
her for the remainder of this review. Why? Because I like her.
Hey,
We also get some rolls on the banner from our
no,
earnings, and from these rolls we get another unit that I will be using. Nelson, who is a pretty decent early battleship. Her skill lets me proc a barrage after a salvo, but at a pretty unreliable
Wow.
rate. She'll fall off later, but in my
People
case
say
later
yourself
won't
is
come, so she'll
the
work
gift.
fine for now. Since I've been on it a couple times now, I'll be going over what the gacha system is like here. We have 3 standard banners and
I
a
don't
rated banner
think I
currently.
played this.
Rates are 7% for an SR, which is pretty generous compared to most other games, with the current rate up unit at 2%. However, there is no pity system for SRs. UR ships on the other hand have a 1.2% chance of appearing whenever they're on banner, and have a pity at 200 pulls. Under the main tab is the Wishing Well. This will come and go alongside events, so you might not have this here, depending on when you see this video. Basically, you get to make your own rate up banner with units that are already in the standard pool. The orders page is where you collect your pulls after they're done, since rolls will have a completion time. Alternatively, you can just quick finish them if you have some of those lying around. For the last 2 tabs, I'll start with Retire. In here, you send your ships off to a nice retirement, where they can live a nice happy life that you will never experience. In return, you get medals, 1, 4, 10 or 30 for rare, elite, SRs and URs respectively. Then you use these medals in the requisition tab. You can either roll on this gacha or spend them in the shop. Note that the gacha here has different rates in a different pool of ship girls than on the standard banners. So with that over, I looked over some of the menus a bit more and I found out that apparently we have access to the event already. So obviously it was time to check out the event and see what was going on. Okay, I won't lie, that was entirely expected really, but I thought, you know, maybe they'd bar off the stage as we literally just started the game, but I guess not. So with that, all that's really left to do is to just push the story really, so I cleared out the remaining star for 1-1, cleared 1-2 and got kicked out to the dorm. Put simply, the dorm system is where you put your ship girls to get EXP and restore their morale. Ship morale is important because high morale will boost your EXP gained, low morale will stop affection gain, or even give negative affection and half EXP when low enough. Starting off, you'll have a scrapyard like so, and eventually you'll work some decent looking stuff around. Adding nice furniture will increase your comfort, which in turn increases bonus EXP. Back to progression. We finish the stars for 1-2, complete 1-3, and unlock the almighty auto combat. With this we get to do the exact same thing as before, but without any interaction. How fun! Now, unless things have changed drastically, I'm pretty sure manual play still does have its merits. For one, you won't be running into torpedoes and bullets as much, and you can time your attacks much better. Because of this, you could probably push harder stages than you might be able to on full auto. However, I'm a lazy shit, so thank God this exists. Imagine actually having to play the game, that would be absurd. And so, for the rest of this dive into Azur Lane, I will be autoing through everything. Because I can. Back to progression again, we finish the stars for 1-3, and then midway through 1-4, we get booted out again, for something called the Grand Fleet. Yeah, nothing happened. A bit odd, we'll just ignore that and go back to 1-4, and since we only get to 80% after completing it, we go again. This time we get stopped for commissions. You can get to commissions either on the homepage on the left or on this battle screen. On top you have a commission followed by short commissions below it. It's easy enough to figure out the system. You send your ships out that fulfill the requirement, wait the timer and you reap the rewards. The types of commissions you get will scale up as you level up, and you get 4 commission slots altogether when you complete 3-4. Urgent commissions have a chance of spawning every time you complete a campaign map, which sometimes you can get gem drops from, which is pretty cool. Again, back to completing 1-4, and we get Leander when we're done. We go back again, finish the stars for the stage, and then let's talk about our new ship girl. Leander is
Yo,
very
what the fuck?
reminiscent of Sims from earlier, in that she also has a buff,
Damn,
this time for
people
cruisers
really
instead of
sim, huh?
destroyers, and also the same smokescreen from Retrofit. I'd imagine it's because of this cruiser focus along with the cheaper upgrading cost due to being a normal rarity unit that pushes her to be.
This man is
Now
speedrun
after
this
this I
shit.
do some pulls and get another new unit. Portland is a very solid heavy cruiser. Her skills aren't great, with one increasing some stats given you include her sister Indianapolis, which usually isn't worth the trade-off, and the other one being a decent defensive skill but with only a 25% chance to proc. However, her stat line after retrofitting means that she does pretty well as a tanky unit with decent damage later on. So with that, we have two new ship girls for the main fleet. Now, there was a small issue about them being quite underleveled compared to the rest of the team, but I noticed that I had these EXP chips lying around when I was equipping some new gear, so we used those to juice everyone up a bit. And now, off we go to Chapter 2. We also get shown that a second fleet can be formed, but I won't be bothering with that. Going through 2-1, clearing every enemy, was a bit tough, seeing as there are now more enemies than I have ammo, and being at 0 ammo means that the fleet does 50% less damage. Now, I wonder if there was any way that I could have circumvented this. Either ways, we brute force our way through, being left with a sliver of health from letting anyone fall. With my hard-earned victory, I did a few pulls in celebration, and we get our first SR unit, who I will not be using, since all my low rarity ships are doing just fine. Massachusetts is a pretty good ship overall,
Yo, this
and
man
would
is
probably make the fleet
fuck
much stronger by replacing Repulse, but I won't be doing that.
Massachusetts is good.
Finishing off the last
Oh,
star for
finishing
2-1
commission.
and completing 2-2, we now unlock exercises. Exercises are the PvP system in the game. Now, I can't really talk about the state of PvP, but I can tell you it's generally worth your time to run your daily exercises. You see, regardless of winning or losing, you'll get merit points, and you can spend merit points in the shop for pretty decent rewards. You can also get EXP without having to spend any oil, which is also a pretty big benefit to exercises as well. Now for a while, nothing of note really happens. We clear out 2-3 and we also clear out 2-4, with some upgrades being done along the way, just very general gameplay stuff. We're now told that 3-1 requires a commander level of 20, so we go back and clear the stars for the rest of Chapter 2, and that pushes us far enough that we can now start on Chapter 3. Pushing onwards, 3-1 was relatively simple,
Really
but our
speedrunning
first
this
run of
game, huh?
3-2 had the fleet scraping through, with most of them at very low health, and one of them even being fully wiped out. Going for a second run of this was a lot smoother because we didn't have to deal with the ammo issue here. Completing 3-3 left me with another casualty and an A rank. Now, it's becoming a bit apparent that I'm lacking a bit of survivability here, which can be solved in a couple of ways. The easiest one, of course, is just to overlevel, so back to Chapter 2, and we're gonna go farm some stages for a bit. Now, the other way would be to get a healer on board, and oh look at that, what a coincidence. Shoho is a very good carrier, mainly due to her skill being able to heal up to 8% health for your vanguard every airstrike. She also does decent damage and has a small buff to other carriers in her retrofit skill. She will be taking the place of the one ship that's been on my fleet since the very start, which I haven't actually talked about yet. Long Island just isn't great, sadly. We got her right at the start, and now it's time for her to be relegated to the sidelines. Her skill gives a small chance, up to 15%, that she can get her next airstrike back up, but as you can tell, 15% isn't really that great. She also has the same buff on retrofit as Shoho, but it just isn't enough to make her good. It's a bit unfortunate, but nothing we can do about that really. Drop her into the fleet, and we go straight into 3-3, completely forgetting that she's actually level 1 still, and giving her a very terrible first sortie experience. But now she's leveled up a bit, so it's probably alright, right? Go into 3-2 to clear some stars, and she gets destroyed again, obviously. Maybe not a great idea to just go at it, I guess, so back to the grind. Farming some stages in Chapter 2 again, and then I remember I can just use the EXP chips to level her up, so I go do that, and off to 3-4 we go.
Let's go.
As expected, the stage goes quite smoothly. Shoho did get a bit low, but apart from that, it was pretty easy. And then we have to do it again, because repeating the exact same stage over and over is a cool and fun mechanic. So back in we go. After that, we have this nice dramatic scene.
Oh.
But more importantly, we also get to learn about distress signals, apparently. Something submarines. We clear the tutorial stage and then, hey look, that would be nice to have during that little submarine tutorial, huh? With 3-4 completed, all's left is to finish the start for World 3, and then I think it's time to wrap up this little showcase.
Oh, he's...
But not before we go scrounge up some cubes and finish up some pulls. So into the pull screen we go, and then we get... Oh. Wait, we grab some more cubes from the missions, and then from our final pulls, we have... a not enough space pop-up. So we clear that, and finally, we get...
Nothing.
Again, nothing of interest. And then I remember that we get more cubes from this meta exploration thing, which I have no idea what this is about, but we get cubes from it, so I make my final pulls, and we get the on-rate SR ship, because the gacha loves us. We're not going to be using it, this is the end of the account, you know, but hey, we got it, so that's pretty cool. So that wraps up my little journey through a new Azur Lane account. Now clearly that wasn't a full review of everything the game has to offer. There's so many more systems and mechanics that get unlocked later that I really didn't get to during this brief look. During this playthrough, however, even with all these unfamiliar scattered things are everywhere, it didn't feel too overwhelming to play on a new account. These things were unlocked gradually, you had time to ease yourself into them, and there's really no rush, really, to exploring all these systems that come up. Well, that's all true up to the point that I played to. They very well could just spring it all on you at some higher level, and I wouldn't know about that. Well, overall, I know that lots of people say that this game is old, with outdated mechanics, and the combat system isn't that fun.
It's not.
Which, you know, I kind of agree with, seeing as, you know, I literally did not actively control any of the gameplay past a certain point. Now, my take here is that if you're not into this long-term, slowly building up a good set of characters, gameplay, I guess, then this game isn't really for you. I doubt that the gameplay alone is enough to keep anyone interested, really, and if it's the character art you're here for, let me tell you, there are many better places to be going for that kind of thing. But, you know, as a more easygoing side game, it's pretty good. Of course, I'm not really an authority on what the true endgame of Azur Lane is really like. You'd have to go to someone else for that. I'm just speaking my opinion as a very casual player that just hops on every so often, you know, just to see what's going on. So yeah, with that, I think I've covered all that I want to cover in this game. So, you know, thank you to whoever you are that sees this, and I hope you have a nice day. Goodbye.
This is straight up good.